Hi, everybody. I'm Liz.
And I'm Rob.
And together we are
Liz and Rob. I think we got that. I think that might be the first time we got it. Okay.
We got that.
All right.
So before we start today's conversation and check-in, it's time to check in with our tea of the day and
Yes.
our secret snack.
Right. So
Yeah.
my tea of the day is what?
This is a raspberry green tea.
Okay.
Served as always.
Served, and also, keep in mind, we had some technical issues before we started. So this was made quite some time ago. So let me taste it. That's room temperature. It is good, though. It's really good.
And my tea for the day today is kombucha. It's like one of my favorite snacks that you don't know. Could you open that for me? No.
Yes, I can. Hold on.
Okay. And while I introduce the secret snacks, Rob, when you finish... Wait, no, I'm going to tell them first. First, open your secret snack.
This is like a little... There we go.
Okay. Now I can drink my kombucha. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is Rob's secret snack. I went out to get the secret snack. And you want to see it?
Yes, my secret snack is a bit of a surprise. It is... Hold on. Okay. Pistachio muffin, my favorite thing in the world.
Yes. And so when I was headed out to get your secret snack, Rob has been spending almost every second of his free time editing our son's film.
And animating another project,
Yep.
yes.
And he was in the middle of something. And when I went out to get secret snack, and he said, I forgot you hadn't gotten your secret snack. And I didn't want you to interrupt your work. So I said, is it okay if I go out and get my secret snack?
Right. So basically the secret snack is a secret to me also.
Yes. So my secret snack that I got for me, it's like my favorite. It's dark chocolate cashew cups.
Great.
Okay. So there'll be a little noise while I open the wrapper, but that's that. So
Here, listen, wait.
We each have our secret snack.
Okay.
Great.
Great.
So for today's check-in, and it was a really busy week for both of us.
Yes.
I had a really magical weekend in which we got to celebrate storytelling and arts. Mm-hmm. And I know you and I center our lives in storytelling in different ways. And some of you have heard me say that I had two different teachers who taught me different aspects of peace building. And both of them said a very similar thing, that the fastest way to change the world is to change the stories that we tell. And so Friday night, I went with my good friend, Robin, who is a professor at Stony Brook. She had tickets to a performance at Stony Brook of a group of dancers called the Syncopated Ladies. And they were so brilliant, and it was so magical. And not only were they talented dancers, it was this whole it was not just dancing, there was music, and as they noted, their bodies themselves become the music because it's tap dance. Mm-hmm. But there was also visual storytelling behind them. And what these different dancers did was
like a multimedia performance.
It was a multimedia performance. That's what I was looking for. And in the background, as they told their story, they told both the stories of themselves, their personal stories. They did spend segments dancing to the stories they wanted to tell about us and who we are and who they are. So it was so powerful. It was so inspiring. And then most of our friends, those of you who don't know that, Rob, you spent a lot of years, and you can talk about that maybe, doing puppet projects, directing puppet projects with some of the people who created the Muppets. Mm-hmm. And what you guys did was you created films using puppets, and a lot of the puppeteers who were actually working for Sesame and other projects. And you created movies for children who are at risk for man-made or natural disasters around the globe.
Around the world, yes.
And do you want to just kind of say a little bit about what some of those were like, what those projects were?
The first one I worked on was for children in Afghanistan, and it taught them landmine awareness, because unfortunately, thanks to both us and the Russians, there are more landmines than there are people in Afghanistan. And so whereas you would have to teach your child here in America to look both ways before you cross the street, you would have to teach a child in Afghanistan that if you're walking down a path and you see a cow that has been blown up, to stop what you're doing and walk in the footsteps backwards in the footsteps that you were in, because those were where there was no mind. And that's an unfortunate thing to teach a child, but you have to teach a child things like that. So the people at No Strings International had created a video. Originally, it was supposed to be a live action thing,
And this is going back many years that you did
quite a
this.
number
This
of
was
years
quite
ago.
a number
Yeah,
of years that
almost
you started
probably
this.
almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a story that's not dissimilar to Pinocchio, and we didn't start her. This is a different, not too different, dissimilar from Pinocchio. So they sort of combined the two stories, and it was about a little boy made of carpet who was trying to become a real boy, and these two jinns that kept wanting him, kept tricking him into doing different things. And he would constantly step on landmines, and it was easier for, I think, children to swallow a little puppet carpet boy than an actual child stepping on landmines, to teach them landmine awareness. And so they brought me on because they needed someone to do a whole bunch of visual effects. And at the time I did a whole bunch of visual effects for them. And eventually they asked me if I wanted to direct some. And that became a natural thing for me, and a fun thing for me, and a lifelong dream for me to direct puppets. And so that's where all that started. And that eventually became a rather, an international thing, and teaching children from different parts of the world. We ended up teaching kids in Haiti, and teaching kids in Africa, teaching kids in the Indonesia, and different places. So it became,
and different things, right? Like landmine awareness, earthquake.
right, earthquake, AIDS awareness, and all the way to personal hygiene. We had made videos of having to wash your hands before you eat. Simple things that that we take for granted that are wiping people out around the world. So that became an extremely fulfilling thing, and that ultimately led to me, directing segments and content at Sesame Street Digital. So
Well, and so because that was such a big part of your life and our life for so many times, we have more friends than probably the average person in the puppet world. We have a lot of puppet friends, and so this weekend, three of the people that we met originally through those puppet productions had these really wonderful things happen.
yeah,
And two of them, our friend Leslie, Carrara Rudolph, won an Emmy for playing Abby Kadabi, and Tango, who is a little dog, right? I think Tango's Elmo's dog, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, Tango is Elmo's dog, and she is the person who brings them to life. And she was just recognized with an Emmy for her performance. And then another friend named Liz Hara was recognized with an Emmy for her writing on the TV show.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which is a Marvel property that you can watch on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And while it was, and as it was exciting to watch them be honored in those ways, what really was so special for me was that they each got to present their words before an audience about why they do what they do and why they tell the stories they do. And it was all about connecting with kindness and joy, and that's a super important thing to honor and value as we create the world we want to tell. And that's the story we want to tell is the stories of how important it is that we connect in kindness and joy. So I loved that. And then our friend Michael Kirk Lane, who we also met when you were doing the puppet productions, one of his great loves, he's an award-winning cabaret singer, and he has been teaching cabaret through the 92nd Street Y for many years. And the New York Times ran a lovely article about that effort, and he was featured in it. And he really talked about and devotes his life to the importance of helping people tell their story through song. And anyone who's been to cabaret knows it's not just about picking a song. It's what's the story you want to tell?
Telling a story.
Who are you? What's the best way to do that? Not only through your song selection, but with how you sing and connect with your audience. And so to have those things happen all this week really got me thinking about the importance of story, the importance of storytelling, and what are the stories we want to tell in this moment that will really, if the fastest way to change the world is to change the stories that we tell, I'm really excited to be working with the people who are telling the stories of joy, telling the stories of kindness, telling the stories of what's important is to tap into who you are, and what you have to offer the world. So that's really what my check-in was, that I just was excited about all of those things. Yeah. Now, did you want to add anything in terms of like what that brought up to you to have all those things happen?
It's well, first off, just again, how not only supportive this community is with everyone, but also just how supportive like both Leslie and Liz were to our sons.
Yes.
You know, Leslie was very supportive of Jake, but also
Can I tell about the day they met?
sure.
All right.
Yep.
Leslie, who most of you would know as Abby Kadabi, was Jake's favorite thing growing up. He loved Sesame, but he loved Abby Kadabi.
Right.
Now, anyone who knows our son Jake is not a shy child. And Leslie didn't work on all the productions; she wasn't able to. But there was one of
She
the
actually
longer...
worked once.
Right, she
on
worked
one-
on
one day.
on
One-
one
one project,
production,
yeah.
on one project. And so the boys were a little older, and Jake was 16, and I said, you just have to let us know when Leslie's going to be working, because I want to make sure Jake is also working on the sets that day so that they can meet. And when we got to the set, I saw Leslie, and it was a day you were directing, and I said to Jake, that's Leslie. Leslie is Abby. And you can just go over and just let her know that you're Rob Graydon's son and tell her how much she and her work mean to you. And Jake looked at me and said, Mom, who am I to talk to Abby Kadabi? And it was like so cute and so sweet, because our very confident 16-year-old son was really so
Humbled.
taken
Yeah.
and humbled. And so I went up to Leslie and I said to her, my son, I'm Rob's wife. My son really loves Abby Kadabi. She's meant so much to him. And she said, well, we'll have lunch together. And she's cleared her lunch time, like her break time. And she sat and had lunch. And one of the first things she said when she sat down with us was, we're going to be best friends. And it was like so sweet and so lovely. And they really have been supportive of our boys. And you want to tell what Liz did for them?
When the boys were crowdfunding for...
Well, even before that. I think it was before that project.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but what were you going to say?
Before the movie.
Yeah.
Well, she had sent them a bunch of scripts.
Yeah, she sent them a bunch of scripts.
Knew they were starting their own production company.
Right.
And she had just, in addition to like sending them scripts and sending them a package, she did send them a gift, right? She sent them a monetary gift and said, this is just to get the Brothers Graydon,
yeah.
Kind of a lift and a head start.
Right.
So
because of that, the boys, that's the reason why the boys call themselves the Brothers Graydon. Liz might not even know that. So if Liz, if you happen to be watching this, know that you are the person who coined the term the Brothers Graydon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I think is so important about all of those is that like 20 years ago, through a friend, you connected with this community. And you gathered, right, regularly for years as our kids grew up. And our kids grew up on these beautiful, protected, magical,
Professional.
and super professional, right? No more professional sets than these sets. There may be other sets that are as professional as these sets, but there aren't any sets who are more professional than these beautiful sets. And you and these beautiful people taught our boys the importance of storytelling. Mm-hmm. How powerful it can be, how you can use your storytelling to create really incredible change in the world. And it makes me proud that it's got to be over 20 years. They were very young when you started working on these productions. And that they're still in contact with this community. They get to see people they know and love, rewarded for their artistry, and to get to know that the reason they've been rewarded for their artistry is because they really have touched and helped and spread joy and kindness and beauty to many, many, many people, right? It's not about the award itself. It's that it really is this recognition that you're doing something profoundly beautiful. And that was really important to me. And I know the boys were so excited when they heard their names called out. And just so you know, and I've said this before, our boys do not believe art is a competitive thing.
No.
Right? But so
No,
it's not about the
we
competition.
yeah,
It's about the honoring. Yeah.
yeah. I'm sort of the same way. I know that you get excited about like award shows
I
and
so
Oscars,
do.
but I don't. And the basic reason I don't is because I think, well, first off, there's a whole reason why the Oscars exist, which is actually quite nefarious. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Oh, no, not in our lovely conversation.
But art is subjective, and the problem is award shows are objective, and so there's an initial clash with that. You're judging art and on a basis against against another piece of art, and they have very different merits. They have very different reasons why they exist in the world, and you are now marginalizing that to give that an award. So that's the reason why I don't particularly, I'll watch awards because it's fun to watch people do win, and but it's not always a thing that I subscribe to.
And yet,
Yeah.
and yet, we both screamed out loud and excited and jumped like when we heard. Right? There is this.
Because they're people you know.
Well, yeah,
and,
that's what I'm
right.
saying. When it's people you know, and people you know has spent not only years but decades, right? Really committed to their craft, created to the beauty of what they
Right.
do, and to hear them just acknowledged for that. We all like to be acknowledged, right?
Of course, yeah.
And in teaching, it looked a little different. Like I really remember when our principal would like bake lasagna and leave it in the faculty room, and we would be like, and just say, "Hey, I appreciate you," and we'd be like, "Yay!" Like even that, you know what I mean? Like it's just nice to be appreciated.
Yeah.
It's nice to be recognized. It's nice to have someone say this, and I understand how you and your boys feel about competition, but I really looked at it from the point I was so excited to celebrate my friends and these people who were acknowledged and honored.
Absolutely.
For truly decades of work that they have done
Right.
in terms
Can
of
we
creating change.
stop for a second? Because I just realized we never actually spoke about what was going on with Michael Kirk-Lane. We kind of stopped.
Oh, I thought I said. No, that the New York Times, didn't I say the New York Times did a story
I don't
about it?
think so. I just realized I think we stopped and then started talking about
If we didn't, and we'll look back and look. Oh, but
Yeah.
Michael Kirk-Lane
Yeah.
has been doing this class and teaching about storytelling and, Michael, I'm sorry, and storytelling and the New York Times came and they observed what he was doing and what they were doing with this class. And they ran a whole feature this week on
In the
him
in the New York Times, yeah.
and in what he was doing. I get off on tangents a lot. He's my reeling in guy. So that's what I was saying. So to read that article,
Right.
and it was a big, beautiful article, and it really did acknowledge the storytelling not only of Michael, but
the importance of
the people that he worked with, and there are a lot of big, beautiful names he works with, but Michael is my friend, and I'm going to use his name. And so, but also the students who take the class, who really learn the beauty of connecting with the story that's already inside them. And what Michael helps them do is connect in song to the story that they're here to tell. But that was the big deal. Okay.
right. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody we talked about was celebrated in this
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
And so that really was my check-in for the week. For me, it was this exciting week full of celebration of storytellers. And I don't want to bring in, and I did write a piece about it, so maybe I'll just add what I wrote on Facebook, because it's very easy to not appreciate the role of art and
Yeah.
artists. And just last week, one of my friends on Facebook had posted a meme that I see a lot, and it said, we need mechanics, we need plumbers, we don't ever need an entertainer. And just like you, what it touched in my heart was, first of all, everyone in my life is an artist. And I said, and you and I know, we have the most incredible plumber, and we have the most incredible mechanic.
Yes.
And I can name Jack Benicio and Vinny.
Yeah.
Right? And when you need them, there's no one more important. I love them, and I trust them, and I'm so grateful for them. But even though we have an old car and a really old house, we only need them a few times a year.
Because they're that good.
Right. And
Right.
and you don't need, but I need art every single day.
I think, and I knew the person you were talking about. I think the thing that was most vexing about that is that person is actually in the business.
Well, and so
And I know what you're talking about. But and again, you know what? I don't want to go off and complaining about this person in general, but it's
No.
more about the idea of belittling art.
and other people, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing you were saying. Just as you don't have to pit people against each other.
There's no
this
reason
idea
to,
about
right.
we can love our plumber and we can love our mechanic, and I do, and we can
Right,
also
there's no-
love the people
there's-
who tell our stories.
Yeah, and that's a pet peeve I have, and it's not this person or this meme. There's never a reason, if you want to praise something, there's never a reason to put something else down in comparison.
Right.
You know, if you want to praise your plumbers and you want to praise your nurses and your doctors and all these people who are doing amazing things, do that. There's no reason to put down something else in the process unless that's your thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
art is something that art there, and we talk about how much we support art, but art is something that is not only a universal language. Art is also a universal translator. So that when you have a story in the other side of the world and you tell it through your art, you are creating a common language.
Right.
Okay? That you both can now, there's an on-ramp now that you both can get on, and you now can tell your story to this person who is on this ride with you. Whether it is through dance, through song, through painting, through film, through whatever. Good art it creates a universal translator for you to tell your story. And you can't do that necessarily with other things. But art is that unique thing that does that.
Yeah.
And what unites everyone. And I've said it many times, if we're going to have peace in the world and we're going to resolve things in this world, it's never going to be through politics. It's not going to be through religion. It's not going to be through the means, left brain means. It's going to be through art.
Yeah, and I think kind of the final point I would want to bring home is exactly what you said. And we come at storytelling from different avenues. Mm-hmm. But when I was little, one of the things my dad said over and over again was he said the one thing that will turn someone you think you hate into someone you can love is their story.
It's their story, right?
And so for me, that's what I love. That's what I love, because even I post a lot on social media. I think it's a good way to cultivate beloved community, and that's how I use it. And the posts that get most interaction are where I say, hey, is there a song you turn to lift you up when you're sad? Do you have 3 favorite movies that are about love that isn't romantic love? I'll
Right.
post those. And it's the ones that are about a person's favorite song, a person's favorite show, a person's favorite concert. That does exactly what you do. That's the connective tissue that shows not only our individuality, it shows both our individuality and our commonality. Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly what you talk about. That's why I really wanted to do this episode when it was so full of a week when I got to honor people who tell story through art, to say how important that particular thing is to both of us.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's and why that's important.
And why?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I feel complete in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Do you feel okay?
I do.
All right. Well, then I want to say thank you for your check-in.
What?
I want to say thank you for checking in.
Oh, yes. Wait, who are you thanking?
You.
Me? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I know you're super busy, and it was, we had to carve out this time today. And so
That's
I want
true.
to thank you for
But we're also
checking
on our
in.
way to your thing today.
Community dinner.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that maybe next
Maybe
week.
next week, yeah.
All right. So I want to say thank you,
Thank you.
and I love you.
I love you too. All right.
Bye.
Is that it?
That's
Is that-
it.
Okay, good. I'm going to finish my room temperature tea.